Good morning, it's Dave at All Things Important Reviews, and I've got with me two very popular homage watches. I've got the Phylida SE-12 GMT, and I've got 41mm with obviously a blue, which is more like a teal ceramic bezel and dial. And on the right, I've got the Pagani design PD-1685, which does not have GMT functionality. Both watches are a homage to the Omega Seamaster 300M diver range. Omega, obviously, this is the James Bond watch, if you will. I'm talking about in general because they've done many different iterations of the watch. They've also done a GMT functionality similar to this one. It is a globally iconic watch worn by James Bond, obviously. It is a fantastic watch that has a unique bracelet. Obviously these watches have been made to look similar to it, but for a fraction of the cost, and they do an excellent job. This is a comparison of both watches. So both watches are priced fairly similarly, although the one on the left is cheaper. I think I only paid in the end about 70 GBP for this one. For this one I think I paid about 90 to 100 quid for this one. So, start with sizes. The sizes are slightly different, but not significantly. This is a nominal 41. The Phylida is a nominal 41. The Pagani is a nominal 42. In reality, this one actually is 41mm if you measure the bezel, but this one is about 41.7. So not that much bigger. The lug to lug on the Phylida is approximately, I think, 46.5 to 47, whereas on the Pagani it is 48.5 or 49mm. The thickness, the Phylida on my calipers is actually thicker by 0.1mm. This is I got 14.3 on this in the middle, and I got 14.2 on the Pagani. The main difference is on the bracelet thickness that I'm going to talk about later. So the sizing both have a similar-ish size. Obviously the Pagani is slightly bigger because that is homaged from a more recent Omega watch, which is a 300M 2018 to present model, which is a 42mm watch. Both, having said that, are actually thicker than the real Omega watches. The real Omega watches, this I believe is only about 13 and a bit mil thick, and the ones going back even further was even less, about 12 and a bit mil. But anyway, I digress. So, sizing, both have excellent, comfortable sizes. I prefer the bigger one, but this is fine also. This one does feel a bit dinky, if I'm totally honest, a little bit, only because these watches do not have a big supporting case. You see that mid case there? They do not have a massive supporting case. So these feel smaller than a 40mm or a 41mm Submariner style watch that has the fat case, the big case supporting it. These feel smaller because they don't have the same thickness and size of case, basically. So I prefer the size, personally, of the Pagani. Now, talk about the dials. The dials are both very good. They're both highly legible. However, the etching of the waves, I'll just get it closer so you can see it. Can you see how they have the markings on the back like a wave, which does add a little bit of character to the watch? Can you see that? I prefer the way Pagani have done it because it's not as in your face, it's not too much, it's more subtle. The way Phylida have done it, it's too much. Can you see that when I'm just pushing it in the light? That affects legibility. When it's on my wrist sometimes, I'm looking down and all I see is the lines at the back, the waves. It's too much. For Pagani in my opinion, win on that. So, but the actual dial overall presentation, obviously it's cleaner on the Pagani, but it has the GMT hand, obviously, because it's a slightly different watch. Now I prefer to have a bit more colour on the dial. So having said all that, I probably still prefer the dial overall of the Phylida because it has the GMT functionality. But the branding and the laser etching is superior on the Pagani, in my opinion. Phylida have a crap name. Phylida sounds obviously like something that we don't want to, you know, in English it means something else kind of thing. And it only says Phylida. It has no logo. I don't know why they need a logo, and they need to change the name from Phylida because it is crap. Pagani have a shield thing that looks very nice, and they also sign the crown and they sign the clasp. Whereas these guys, they don't bother. They don't sign nothing. It's too plain. So branding on the dial and everything else, Pagani are the winner by a country mile. Pagani have miles better branding than Phylida, no question. So the dial is a tough one. I would prefer it with a GMT functionality because that's what I like. I like GMTs and I like the extra, you know, sub dial, if you will. But the Pagani is cleaner. It's a tough one. I'd let you decide on that one. Bezels, just show you the bezels. That is an excellent bezel. Practically no black play. Excellent bezel. Ceramic. Now, interestingly, the Pagani is more difficult to turn, but they both feel fairly similar-ish. I'm going to give the winner to the Phylida. I think the Phylida feels better slightly on the bezel. They're both ceramic. They both have a sapphire crystal. Now, I prefer, again, the crystal on the Phylida. Why? Because they've not completely domed it like this one, like the Pagani. I don't know why they've chosen to dome it so much. That is completely overkill. I don't like domed crystals anyway. So personally, I prefer the Phylida for that one. Right, talk about case backs. Well, we can talk about the crown. The crown on both is completely fine. I've used them prior to this video. They both feel very similar. They're both screw down crowns. I would have no issue with that. The crown, if you look at the crown guards, I mean, they're both very, very similar. They both feel very similar as well when you're turning them. This one does have, I believe that is a fake helium escape valve, in the sense that it's not really a helium escape valve that you can use. On the real one, obviously it is, for those that are doing, you know, really deep diving. If you need that, I'm not bothered about the helium escape valve. I'll never ever use it, and I don't even think that is a real one. I could be wrong. So dials, it's a tough one. Bezels, I believe slightly, ever so slightly, I'm going to give it to Phylida. For Phylida's bezel also is loomed. Fairly certain Phylida's bezel is also loomed. This one is not, other than the pip. So yeah, the bezel is better on the Phylida, definitely. Right, colour, I chose the black just to keep it simple, and because I've already got the blue. Now, if you buy a real Omega Seamaster, like the latest one that costs about 4,250 quid, 4,500 quid, although with a discount you can get it for closer to 3,500, you can get it in like a deep blue, or you can get it in a black. Now, I think Omega do one of the best blues in the world, and that Omega's blue is what I would probably get. But this one is more like a teal. So I don't particularly like the blue on this Phylida. It is more like a teal. It's in between a greeny blue, and I don't think it's particularly nice. I think it needs to be, but you can get this in black. And if I was going to get it again, I'd get it in black, and I would get it without the Phylida on the dial. It just looks crap, that Phylida. But this one does look good in the black. They've done a really nice job. So I'm going to say the colours, I'm going to say the Pagani is better because of the way they've done this blue. But you can get this one also in different colours, and I would say the Pagani do the colouring better than Phylida. Right, case backs. Phylida, this is the easier one. Phylida is completely and utterly plain, way too plain. It should have an exhibition window, it should have some laser markings with a model number and the water resist. Doesn't have it at all. So, not the best marks, it's just a super plain case back. Pagani do an excellent exhibition window with laser markings. Pagani design, water resist 200 meter. Oh, by the way, both watches, and I knew they'd do this, both watches have differing specs in terms of within the actual stated spec of their particular models. So Phylida both say it's 100 meter and also say it's 200 meter online in the specs. It's completely confusing. And so do Pagani. Pagani say it's 200 meter on the dial and on the back, and yet in the specs it does say 100 meter on one of their official stores. So I don't know whether they're 100 or 200 meter. I would not go diving with these watches because I don't trust a Chinese brand at this price point to be able to, confirm. I wouldn't trust them that it's 200 meter personally. However, maybe that is unfair, and maybe they are 200 meter. I don't know, but would you really go diving with a Chinese watch brand for cheap? You just buy a Citizen or a Seiko certified diver that you can get for less than 200 quid. You can get them for 100 quid actually now on eBay. A proper dive certified, ISO certified watch. So anyway, I'm going to guess they're around 100 meter water resist, but nominally the spec differs. So let's talk now about, well, the movements. I believe they both have the NH35 movement. This might be different because this one is obviously GMT functionality, so this one might have like one of those higher beat movements. I'll double check. Ultimately, they're both inaccurate. The movements will lose between 20 and 40 seconds per day, but you're not buying these watches for accuracy. I've said this millions of times before. You're buying these watches to get the feel of a luxury watch. You accept that with current technology and price points, you're not going to get Rolexes 2 seconds a day, or a cost certified a few seconds a day in accuracy. I would prefer it if they gave Mecha Quartz or Quartz options on these models, which is what I would probably buy. I prefer accuracy. I'm a functional person. I don't care about automatic. However, I do like seeing the seconds hand sweep like that. I like it. But I don't really like losing that time as an everyday driver. I like to have them accurate, which is what you get with a Quartz, because you get a battery and you get within 10 to 15 seconds a month accuracy, which is outstanding. Some you can even get now that are only a couple of seconds a month inaccurate, that are super accurate quartzes. Or you can get a Citizen or Casio G-Shock radio synchronized time, which is what I have and I've done in other videos, and they are perfectly synchronized if you live in the 6 radio towers multi-band areas. They are perfectly synchronized all year round. Or you can even get a Bluetooth synchronized one that synchronizes to your phone's Bluetooth, but I don't like that because I hate wearing the battery of my phone down. Anyway, we're digressing. So let's now talk about thickness. They both feel excellent on the wrist. That's because, as I've said, the case is thin, so they do not feel like a 14mm thick watch. They feel more like a 12mm thick, and part of the reason why that is because of the bracelets. The bracelets are both a mixed bag. Having said that, overall, I'm going to say the bracelet on the Phylida is superior, and I'm going to explain that why. The Phylida bracelet is only 2.8mm thick links or less, so the links are far thinner than the links on this one. The links are way too thick at 4.2mm, 4.1mm thick on the Pagani. That is too thick, too bulky, too heavy. This is much more appropriate and this is much better. The links on the Phylida are attached with screws. There is 2 little screws on either side, tiny little screws. You pull them out and then you get a pin, basically, that you pull out. So these keep a pin inside this bracelet. This, having said that, these just have a single pin, and this is easier to detach and attach a new one. This is definitely better and easier for that, because these screws are just an absolute nightmare to get. They're so easy to lose. They're so tiny, them screws. They are unbelievably small. But this is more secure. This is superior, and the bracelet thicknesses and the bracelet polishing and the bracelet look is superior on the Phylida than it is on the Pagani. Whether they are interchangeable, I don't know. They both have a 20mm nominal lug width. I don't know if they're interchangeable. I'm going to find out. And I'm going to buy an aftermarket bracelet off AliExpress that you can get that has an upgraded clasp that's nothing to do with Pagani, a different manufacturer, that has thinner links, that has links about that thick, that with the screw pins, that has an amazing clasp, so-called, that is similar to the latest Omega clasp, that has inside it a push button that you push here and you can micro adjust at 2mm notches, at 2mm increments, to get the perfect fit. But this, you can get almost a perfect fit on this, because you've got half links and you've got the micro adjust, which is fine. The issue with this bracelet, the overwhelming issue, is the thickness of the links. I don't know why they've done it, but they've chosen to do them 4mm thick, 4.2mm. That is just completely overkill. 2.5mm thick is fine. It would support the watch fine. They have overkilled it and made it too heavy, which is a spoil, unfortunately. Even if it was 3mm, that'd be fine. But 4mm thick all the way down without a taper, because the real one doesn't taper, it's too heavy. Now this one, let's get some wrist shots. Now the problem with this bracelet is the clasp does not have any micro adjust, so literally all you can do is use well, they're not even half links, they're more like a third link or a quarter link. But you do have 2 of them, or 3 I think, because I think I've took one out. You can get a really nice fit with this watch still. The bracelet clasp is heavy duty, fully milled, completely machined, heavy duty. Now I have found again with this one, sometimes there is an issue with deployment. The engagement there is not always perfect, and again the engagement on this clasp is also not perfect. So both of them have tolerance issues that you would not have, I don't think, on the real Omega one that it's homaged from. See, that's not completely smooth, but again they're working okay. Sometimes when I put this one on, I have to go underneath. Now that's clicked on. Now see that there? That did not disengage properly. It got caught. See, it's getting caught. So the tolerances on the clasp are an issue. I can't wait to swap this bracelet out for something else, for another bracelet, aftermarket 5-link bracelet just like this one, but thinner links and with the upgraded clasp. So, but I'll just put them both on the wrist. I mean, this bracelet on the Phylida, I have to say, it is probably the comfiest bracelet literally I've ever worn. I'm not kidding. It's as comfy as a Rolex Jubilee, but it's even better because it has longer links, so they support the watch better. It still has all the articulation points, and it's thin. The actual watch thing. Now it doesn't taper, but neither does this one, and neither does the real one, neither does the Omega one. But when the bracelet is thin links, that is fine, it doesn't have to taper. But when it's this fat, it's too much. But both extremely comfortable bracelets. But yeah, this is my favourite in terms of the bracelet by a country mile. Well, significantly. And this is probably now my favourite all-round bracelet. I prefer it to the Oyster style or to the Jubilee style, the 3-link or 5-link. But both have done an absolutely excellent effort. I can't really criticise too much both of them for the price that you pay, but it would be excellent if they did the changes as I said. Overall, which is the better watch? And this is such a tough call. It is such a tough call. I think it all depends on whether you're bothered about the GMT functionality. If you're not bothered about that and you want the bigger, I think the branding is poorer on the Phylida. The branding is obviously superior on the Pagani. The appearance is probably superior. Again, because the bracelet looks better on the Phylida. You know, it could easily go to the Phylida and it could easily go to the Pagani. It's a really tough one. I'm not going to say which one I prefer because I don't actually know. It will probably be the Pagani because of the size. I like the size to be a bit bigger. But the bracelet is better on the Phylida. But the clasp, because you have micro adjust, you can get a better fit on the Pagani. So it's all horses for courses. It's crazy, really. If you've got big wrists, I would say get the Pagani. If you've got smaller wrists, get the Phylida. But get it without the branding and get it in black. That's what my recommendation would be. With the Pagani, if you've got tiny wrists like 6 inch and below, I think it's going to be too big and too bulky for you personally. But go ahead and try it out. It's up to you. There is affiliate links down below. If you want to check them out and you want to pick up the watch, I get a tiny bit of commission at no extra cost to you. Thanks a lot for checking my reviews out. I hope you've enjoyed this comparison. I hope I've been thorough and gone through everything that I could. The loom is better on the Phylida because the bezel is also loomed up. The Pagani has moderate loom on the indices but nothing on the bezel other than the pip, I think. Thanks for checking my videos out. Loads more reviews coming up. It's been Dave. Have a great weekend. Cheers.